not everything is going to work out according to plan. We make these plans in our life, and we want it to go a certain way, and you very well may get to the end goal, but it's not going to be how you pictured it.
How is it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Sean Barnes. I want to welcome you to The Way of the Wolf. Our guest today is a gentleman named LaDavid Taylor. I have watched his progression as a photographer and videographer over the past few years. As we have been focusing on increasing the production quality of the podcast over the years, I've kind of picked his brain, asked for some perspective, some guidance. I recently purchased some more cameras, so we're going to dive into these cameras that we purchased, and I thought I would bring him on the show to talk through these cameras, share his perspective, share his story, and really just kind of chop it up and hopefully educate some of you guys on cameras to use whenever you are creating your own content. LaDavid, welcome to The Way of the Wolf.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. I'm just like, hey, whatever you want me to talk about, whatever you want me to say, I'm down for it. So I'm just excited to be here, especially when I get to talk cameras. You know, that's right up my alley. So I eat, sleep, and breathe this.
Yep. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to share my perspective of your journey. And I want you to correct me along the way and tell me, is my head right, or kind of share some things that you've learned along the way. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay, we first met, what was it? Maybe 4 years ago at TF Supplements or so. So Chris has been on the show before.
Yeah.
Love that guy. He's just fantastic. And you were selling supplements there.
Yep.
And we might have run into each other at the gym occasionally.
Yeah.
Started just kind of having some conversations. And then one day I started seeing some content come across my feed from you that was really more focused on the photography side of things. And I thought, oh, okay, all right, well, that's pretty cool. And I thought, okay, well, this is a side gig thing that he's working on, and that's pretty cool. And as time went on, you started getting better. and I thought, okay, all right, so he's starting to take this pretty seriously. And then at one point, I think I had a conversation with you at the store and said, man, your stuff's looking pretty good. You're like, yeah, I really like it. It's something I'm passionate about, excited. And then I started seeing some video content come across, and it just kept getting better and better. And I thought, oh, man, this dude, he's doing some legit stuff. And now you do it full time.
Yeah.
Right? How long have you been doing it full time?
It's still hard to believe, coming up almost on a full year, full time. So I think I'm around like that 10, 11 month mark. So I just kind of rounded up. So it's been my first full year being full time. I eat, sleep, breathe, photography, videography. That's all I do.
And how has that been?
It's been amazing. So the journey has been great. Obviously, everything as far as entrepreneurship, you know, ups and downs to it. I've learned a lot in my first year, and I've been blessed to work with a lot of great people, entrepreneurs, businesses, companies, and even influencers I never thought that I would even meet. I've been able to work for them just in that short period of time. So I'm just humbled to even be in this position.
Was it scary stepping off into it?
Yeah, I would say it was more so comfortable when I was just doing it recreationally at the gym, doing my fitness content, you know, the stuff that you were seeing. And then when I decided to take that plunge and leave my job, which I was working as a stretch therapist for Stretch Lab Studios, and that was hard because that was it. You know, obviously I calculated it, I planned it, but it was either go all in or it's either all in or nothing, you know, at that point.
How long were you doing it recreationally before you had the feeling in your gut that you want to go do this full time? And then once you had that moment, how long did it take for you to actually jump off?
I would say, so my recreational period can kind of go back kind of far, probably about 5 or 6 years. A lot of people don't know I have a YouTube channel. I started out as a vlogger, daily vlogger. So I made vlogs talking about fitness, lifestyle, my life. I just genuinely enjoyed sharing my life. I used to take pictures when I was younger. So I did the YouTube thing. I did the Instagram thing, you know, recording my workouts. So YouTube I did for probably about 4 4 to 5 years. I haven't done anything in the last year or so on my channel. And then I did Instagram for about like another year, making nothing but fitness content, really pouring all of my effort into that because I was a personal trainer. So I really was trying to highlight myself as an online coach. But when I was working, I was in the military for a while, and what got me to get out is because I wanted to pursue what I wanted to do to make me happy, to enjoy my life while I have it. And I started to get that feeling again when I was working at Stretch Lab. Great company. I met great people, just certain things where I felt like undervalued. And I was like, I want to do what I want to do. And I was doing photography recreationally and just kind of on the side. And I was like, you know what? I'm meeting people who are actually making a living doing this. I didn't know this was possible. They're doing it. Why can't it be me? So I'm just going to wait for the right opportunity, and I'm going to make that leap. And I believe it was right when I decided to make that choice. Legend Barbell. So Henry Walker over at Legend Barbell gave me that shot that I needed to say, you know what, I'm going for it. And then when I got my first proposition for like a full-time contract, that's when I knew, okay, it's possible.
How did you feel in that moment?
I felt nervous, but I felt accomplished. I felt proud, but at the same time, I felt like I didn't really deserve it because I was like, wow, there's so many people that are better than me. Why am I being given this shot? But I just, took it, and I took all feedback and constructive criticism. And I remember there was one pivotal moment where I did my first project with him that I look back on and laugh. And the feedback that I got from the creative director at the time was, I think it's good, but it can be better. Right. And I didn't take it to heart, but I took it very personal, as in, I'm going to do everything I can from this day forward to become one of the best people in my industry and in this area. And it wasn't as far as arrogance. It was just that I want to prove to myself that I can be great, and that this person, whether or not they're with us or not down the line, can say, I knew that you can do it. And that's why I took it. I figured that they felt that I could do better. They sowed that seed, and I just watered it.
Isn't it interesting how little comments like that can light a fire inside of us that sometimes we didn't even know existed? And it starts off with this kind of reactionary state of, oh, watch.
Yeah.
Right? But then it turns into this just fire that just cannot be put out, like burning hotter than hot. And that is what drives us ultimately to become the best version of ourselves. And I don't think we ever actually achieve it. Mm-hmm. It's a constant chase. Yeah. Because every time we start to get better at that thing, we look across and see somebody else. Well, hell. Yeah. Okay. I guess I don't have my stuff together. I really need to start. Okay. Well, I really like how they did that. Okay. Maybe I can incorporate some of it. But it's actually an easy trap to fall into, of trying to directly emulate somebody that we respect and admire. Mm-hmm. And I've found in my career that when I try to directly emulate somebody, it doesn't come across as genuine because it's not me. And it's important to be able to identify, well, I like this trait and that trait. That resonates with me, so that's what I'm going to start bringing in to my leadership style. And obviously, that's kind of something that I'm very passionate about. Right. Have you seen something similar with photography, videography, and then the content creation side of things?
Absolutely. I was just talking to a good friend of mine, Consistent Visuals, and so that's his company name. And so I kind of been doing this for a while. He just got into it. And so we shoot together a lot, and we were just talking about that. And I was like, man, it's always going to be somebody who has a different style or that you look up to. And it's okay to nitpick and to take certain things from people's style and say, hey, I like that. But to try to do it like them, you'll never be able to. That's what separates us all as creators. And imposter syndrome is crazy because, I think everybody deals with it for sure. In the creative space, it's so heavy. I follow some of the best creators in this area, in the city of Houston, and even beyond on social media. And a lot of them talk about the same things. They're looking at other people's work and, well, they're getting this type of response, and why am I not? And it just never ends. And so what I learned to do is how to develop my personal style where people recognize my work is that I look at people's stuff. I was like, I kind of like that. Maybe I'll try that and see how that works for me. And then eventually I have a lot of stuff that I picked up on from others, and then some stuff I actually just developed on my own, like how I shoot, how I film, how I edit. It's very unique. I can't edit like somebody else. I can't shoot like somebody else because it's privy to my own style that I've developed over time.
I have to say, it's just watching your progression over the years. It keeps getting better and better. And now I see stuff. I'm like, this dude just can't miss. Right? It just everything he comes out with.
I
right?
miss a ton of time.
Okay. All right. So any big major lessons that you have learned over the last, you said 11 months that you've been doing this full time that just stuck with you more so than anything else?
Be patient with yourself, especially in this space. Like you have to be in it for the long run. A lot of people think you get your first cinema camera or A7 IV or, FX3, and then all of a sudden the money's just going to start rolling in. And there's so much like on the aspect of business that we do not hone in on. A lot of people shoot really well, but then the business side is what makes the money. It's what makes the lifestyle. It's what gives you that. And so patience, and then understand the business aspect of like the industry and how to scale and how to market yourself. Because there's so many people with untapped potential that I think are way better than me. I have a good friend like that now. He just doesn't understand the business side of things, who to talk to, where to go, the things to say, And that's why I love giving back so much, because I think I'm still a beginner. I learn from a lot of people all the time. I learn from you all the time. We talk all the time. And I just like to share that information just because I have to find it on YouTube and through Google forums and talking to, entrepreneurs and successful businessmen like yourself and other friends that I have. So.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this is there's such an allure of entrepreneurship these days, and everybody thinks, well, I don't like my boss, I'm going to just go start a company and be a millionaire, right? Well, I'm good at photography and videography. I'm just going to go start a company and then I'm going to make all this money. Right? Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight, first of all, and just you could be the most phenomenal videographer, period. But to your point, if you don't know how to run a business, it doesn't matter. You can be great at marketing, but if you don't know how to monetize your skill and then actually make sure that you're monitoring and keeping track of your P&L, watching your spending, if you start making a bunch of money, I'm going to start buying this camera and this lens and this bag and this, like on and on and on, right? But if you're losing money, it doesn't work. So it is important that while you focus on honing your craft and becoming the best at what you do, you also have to understand if you go out on your own as an entrepreneur, while it is exciting, you have to start understanding a little bit more about marketing, a little bit more about invoicing, managing cash flow, and managing customers and contacts. And I mean, there's a lot of steps that you have to learn. And I think that many times people, whenever they go out on their own, they don't fully understand the magnitude or the gravity of what they're walking into, and they haven't really prepared themselves financially. They might give themselves a runway of a couple of months. In the end of, like in the grand scheme of things, if you're starting a business going on your own, and if you have a family to support, a couple of months probably isn't going to get you there. Yeah, like you're going to end up in a world of hurt, in my opinion. So once you identify you have this passion and purpose in life, start building those skills related to running a company, starting up a company. And YouTube, Google, generative AI, these are all your friends, of course, but also don't be afraid to lean into mentors and people that are good at business and just asking for their perspective and guidance. Because one thing that I have learned, there's not been one single time ever that I've sought feedback from somebody above me that I respect and admire, and they shot me down. Right. All the hate comes from below.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? Okay. All right. So, you want to talk cameras?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So, as we talk about upgrading camera equipment, I have these Panasonic HG50s or something like that. Here's the deal. I'm going to be 3 years ago, whenever I was probably about 6 months into starting the podcast, and I was looking for a camera that could record whenever I have a guest on. Started doing my research. Saw the Joe Rogan podcast uses these cameras, and I thought, well, it's good enough for Joe Rogan, good enough for me, right? And I don't know if I don't have the settings right or what, but they don't look quite as crisp as his. And I'm sure they've probably changed cameras since then, because this was, like I said, 3 years ago. Yeah. So I've been using these. They actually work fairly well. And then you and I had some conversations a while back, and I ended up picking up, I don't know if I just broke this. I ended up picking up this ZVE10, and this shoots much clearer and crisper than these do.
Yeah.
The problem is this guy overheats at about 30, 35 minutes.
Common.
Yeah. So, and as I've started doing more research, this is a common issue with these. What is this? Smaller frame? What is this?
The APS-C line. I believe that's a APS-C crop sensor. One that are smaller, more like vlogging content creator. Because I used to use the Sony A6000 line, so I've had the A6000, the A6300, and the A5100 even. So I've had all those smaller frame cameras.
So this is great for, I think, vlogging and stuff like that, and it works great for my short form content, or not short form, but we'll say 5 to 15 minutes whenever it's just me talking. But a while back, I think it was, I can't even remember, Michael David. That's who I had on the show. And that ended up being a very long episode, and the camera overheated. And so I ended up just throwing up my cell phone to record the second half of it. I was like, okay, I don't want to mess with that. So I started doing some more research, and then came across these Lumix GH5s, and this is the Mark II. In my research, a lot of people said, this thing is bulletproof. It can run for hours without overheating, shooting in 4K and 24 I'm going to screw it up.
Yeah.
But basically, it shoots in 4K for long periods of time. So I bought 2 of these, right?
Yeah.
Let's go
Solid
ahead
camera.
and open this up right here. And so for any of you listening to this, feel free to go to the YouTube channel, check it out. It's absolutely free, no ads or anything like that. But we're going to start opening these cameras up and just kind of talking through what all we've got. And then actually, if you could open this up for me.
Portkeys
just
PT6.
So is this called a full frame camera?
So I believe the GH5, I'm not sure if this one is a micro four thirds or full frame. I think this one may be one of their full frame.
But it's actually quite a bit larger than this ZVE10 that I've got. Actually easier to hold on to, and I do like this material. So from your perspective, and I think you said that you've shot with one of these long time ago, but what is your thoughts on why these don't have the overheating issues that a camera like this or the ZVE1 does?
So, I mean, obviously, if it's and I have to fact check myself whether or not that is a micro four thirds or if there's actually a full frame model of them. But you have things that come into play, especially like with battery size too, right? The battery, so like a lot of Sony cameras don't really have that issue. A lot of their newer ones, but they also have much bigger batteries. Internal fans and stuff like that are built into certain cameras, such as like the FX30 that I have. But I just think it's just going. I mean, obviously, Panasonic is a different company. They make great cameras. I've always wanted to try some of their photo-based cameras. It's just a lot of those internal specs are designed and built a little bit tougher to endure certain things. Just like Sony makes their APS-C line for like their short form content, your bloggers, your online content creators like TikTok, Instagram, and then you have like your more hybrid lines like the Sony A7 IV, and then you have the A7R series, which is for higher resolution. The R is for resolution, so those cameras are going to shoot at much higher megapixels. I have one, and then you have the A7S series, which is more so for video, and then which are beast of video cameras, and then you have like the FX line, which is the cinema line. So every company has these categories that they kind of keep these cameras in. And so with those, depending on what you need, you're going to shop within that category of like, okay, I need something that shoots 4K at either 24 frames per second, 60 frames per second, even 120 if you need that. If not, most cameras has 4K 24 and 4K 30. So for like you running a podcast, Panasonic has a lot of great cameras. I think I had the G7. Can't remember. It was a little bit smaller than that, but it was a beast. It was a micro four thirds, but it had amazing image quality, great for short form content, but not the best if I was going to go and do like really professional work, you know? So that's the way I kind of lay the foundation of like what you should buy and when you're shopping.
And what are you shooting with now?
I'm actually shooting with the FX30 for all my professional video work, and this is probably the best place to say it because I've always wanted to give you just open gratitude, but you're the one who blessed me and gifted that to my business, the Sony FX30. Sean blessed me at the gym, saw me post it on my story, and it was just me kind of just putting it out there into the world like, hey, this is going to be my next camera. When I upgrade, I was shooting on the A7R II, and for whatever reason, you were compelled internally to do that for me and make that happen. It's the first time like somebody's almost made me cry. But yeah, that was a blessing. And when I truthfully say this, I tell people that was a turning point in my career. I was able to hone the skills of videography and photography with the gear that I had. But when I got my hands on the FX30, because I had the skills and all I needed was the gear, things took off from that point. My quality of work went up. I was able to take on bigger projects. And honestly, that was the staple of my career that really established me. And that's not me boosting it. That's just me humbly saying like that literally changed my life, my business, and everything that I do. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I saw that story come across your feed, and because of all of the progress that I've seen you made and how impressed I've been, I thought, man, if this is something that he needs, like it's got to be extremely powerful. And I heard this voice, get the camera and work with him, get the camera and work with him. And I thought, okay, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this. And then I went and looked it up online. I said, are you sure?
It's not cheap. Yeah, it's not cheap.
But yeah, it was just something that I felt compelled to do. And seeing everything that you have created is just so inspiring and motivating. And I think that the message here is when you are passionate about what you do, put it out there. Don't hold it inside thinking or having imposter syndrome, thinking, well, I'm not good enough or I won't be there. Like, put it out into the world. Start calling your shots, because what will happen is the right people in your life will start holding you accountable.
Yeah.
They're going to start pushing you, and they're also going to do little things here and there to open up doors that can change your life.
Right.
So if you are passionate about something, like chase that dream, follow it, run with it, put it out into the world, and good things will start to happen.
Yeah.
So it has been incredible to see everything that you have created with that camera. And I can't wait to see all the other things that you start doing with it.
Oh man, it's been amazing.
Okay, so what do we have here? This is what, a monitor?
So we got a external monitor, Porky's PT6. I recommended that because one, it's budget friendly. So if anybody's out there watching, you need a budget friendly monitor, the Porky's PT6 is amazing. Well over short under $200. You get false colors, you get the grit lines. It's got full size HDMI in and out. I believe you can import LUTs into it, which was a big thing. If you're shooting on S-Log or any type of, or if you're shooting on Canon and you shoot C-Log, it just comes in handy. And when you're shooting like sit down content like this, or even what I do with my profession, I shoot a lot of cinema work. Having an external monitor is literally key. Literally key.
Yeah. So the thing is this little like 3-inch screen, 2.5, 3-inch screen, it's okay, but it's not great.
Right.
Even if it's this camera is 3 feet away from me, and it's still just kind of like, I don't know. So yeah, definitely looking forward to getting this monitor. Okay, so here's what I would actually like to do. We started to kind of unbox these things. How quickly can we get these up and running and start recording?
As long as there's juice in the battery, it's seamless. Pop the battery in, get everything set up. Figuring out the settings is the biggest part. Like, all right, let's switch to the video mode, SD cards in there, and then smooth selling. So,
all right, so we're gonna push pause on recording, see if we can get these guys up and running in relatively short order, and shoot the rest of the episode using these new cameras. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are not on the new cameras. I messed up and actually ordered the wrong lenses. Ordered 2 cameras, 2 lenses, but the wrong lenses. So we ended up throwing up the Sony ZV-E10, and we've got the FX30 over here on LaDavid. So he's going to look amazing in this footage, and I'm going to look fairly good myself, hopefully. So in any event, so we're going to go ahead and just pick back up where we left off. So for frame of reference, these were the old cameras that Joe Rogan was using for a while, and now I'm upgrading from. And then, so these are the new ones that once I get the right gear and cages and screens and all that stuff, I will start shooting on. So, all right. Oops. But you know what? That's life. We had a whole bunch of other cameras to work with, and so we just rolled with it. So we're just we're gonna figure it out. Okay. All right. So while we were talking, you had made a comment. Oh man, what were we talking about? Oh, okay. All right. So as you start building your business, and this is something that I've contended with a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about pricing. Because when you start building a business, going out on your own, inevitably you're going to have friends and family, hey, give me the hookup, right? And it puts you in a very challenging situation, right? Because you have a family to feed. Yeah. This is your livelihood. This is something that I haven't really struggled with as much in recent years, but early on in my career when I was just focused on technology, people would always hit me up, hey, can you fix my computer? Well, what about my friends and family discount? Okay, well, that was a side gig and it wasn't as big of a deal.
Right.
But now we're at a place where with WSS, the price is the price. And if it's too much, I'll refer you to somebody else, but this is my livelihood. This is my team's livelihood. We have employees that we're trying to pay and support. Right. So unfortunately, when you start to legitimize your business, the friends and family discounts kind of start to go away. And I've had this mindset of if they were really, truly your friend, they would be in your corner rooting for you and saying, yes, I don't care what the price is. I want to take care of you. I want to support you and promote you and be there for you.
Right.
But the reality of the world is that's not always the case. Has that been challenging for you?
It's been very challenging. That's, I think, alongside of like identifying and understanding the business aspect of things, that learning how to create that boundary between like your close friends and family, it's like it's big because it can hinder you and it can hold you back, and then it can also damage relationships as well. And I've learned that as I continue to scale, and I'm still on the front end of things, that already within the first year, it's already been very evident that I've had to establish some clear boundaries. Because when I started out, I mean, honestly, I go back to my software where I invoice everything, and I think like back when I was charging $35 for photo shoots, $75 for photo shoots. And now when people ask for my pricing and I tell them, they're like, oh, you know, I get the infamous, like, oh, you're big time now. Like, man, okay, I can't even afford you. And it's just like, it's not that. It's just now that my value has increased, not only does my price increase with that, but the value that I provide to my customer base. All right. So what I'm providing to them, deliverables, the experience, all of that goes up. Not just the price. So if the price goes up, well, I got to make sure that I'm giving some value back to my customers and the people who are working with me.
Well, and the reality is your cost goes up, right? Cameras, lenses, editing software, laptops, like all of that stuff costs money. And because you are increasing the production quality, that means you have to buy nicer and nicer gear. And your prices have to raise along with it. And then, like, let's not even factor in the macro of inflation and the market, just everything else that's going on.
Yeah, everything is expensive.
But it is a very challenging situation. And this is something that I have had to grapple with is as we move and progress through the seasons of our lives, there will be times when some people are no longer part of the journey.
Yeah, sadly.
Oh, my God, that is so challenging because we want everyone to be better and to come along as we continue to grow and progress. Like we want our friends and family to come along with us, but the reality is not everybody's on the same path as we are. And while your friends could very well get there at some point, what you can't do is, I'm going to say, slow yourself down because of them. Because if you are on this trajectory, you're on your mission and purpose in life, you're putting your dent in the universe, you can't successfully do that if you're having to drag people along and they're kicking and screaming because they're just not quite ready. And that's okay. You can still support them and encourage them, but you have to be on your journey. And there's a transitionary phase where you're starting to, I'm going to say, outgrow certain individuals in your life, but you're not quite to that next level where you're able to surround yourself with new friends and people that are kind of operating at the. So there are stages as we progress where things get a little bit lonely, and you just got to grind and you just got to push through. The right people that are meant to be in your life, they will end up in your life. Right. And so learning to let go and then just love everybody and encourage everybody, that is a key thing that I've had to learn, and hasn't been easy, but it is kind of important for us.
It's necessary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So enough of that. Let me ask you a question on this, we'll say, mishap that I just had in ordering the wrong equipment. Does that happen to you? Or are you one of the people that just kind of researches, you know exactly what you're going to get?
Now, I am a heavy researcher. My Amazon cart is always full. My precision camera cart is always full. And, you know, I buy things as it comes. But I have done that. I bought, back when I bought lighting, and I had to learn what a Bowens mount was. You know, when I bought a flash and I want to shoot off-camera flash, I didn't have a Bowens mount. And I had to learn what a Bowens mount was. And when I would buy filters, when I learned what a filter thread size was, I was like, so I have this camera lens, and I went and bought this ND filter, but wait, you're telling me that these have filter thread sizes on them? And so then I learned what step-up rings were and all that kind of stuff. So I've done it with lights, I've done it with filters, I've done it with lenses. I think I actually did the same thing as you did. I had a Sony A6300, and I bought, I think, the Micro Four Thirds version of the Sigma 16 millimeter. So the Sigma 16 millimeter f1.4 is my favorite vlogging everyday lens, and I bought the wrong one for my thankfully it was like a pawn shop. I bought it used. I just took it back and got my money back, and I found one like on Facebook. But yeah, I've done it before. It happens.
Well, I think that's part of the growth and, well, the journey of learning your craft. So I'm pretty sure it probably didn't happen again.
No.
So it was a lesson learned, right? Sometimes those lessons don't cost us anything other than a trip back to the store. Sometimes they can be costly.
Yeah.
Right. So that's always unfortunate. Definitely want to make sure that you're doing your research. So talk to me a little bit about, like, what is the majority of the work that you do? I know you've done a lot in the gym and around fitness, and you're starting to expand beyond just that. And I know you kind of shot my car, and we're going to do another shoot with the TRX.
I can't wait to do that one
car.
again. It's going to be
we're going to
better.
do both of them. So that's going to be fun. But talk me through kind of the different types of videography and photography that you do.
So as far as videography, a lot of people know me as the fitness guy. I do a lot of fitness content. I've, been able to shoot with, amateur bodybuilders, pro bodybuilders, and that's been fun. Now I've been blessed to branch out. I really want to get into like the business sector, tech and things like that. I work with jewelry companies now. I'm starting to do more real estate. I just made a good connection with like a gentleman who has his own roofing business. So I kind of want to get into that more business space. And so being able to work with like jewelry companies and go and shoot, and I'm not necessarily shooting somebody who's bench pressing, 315 or 405. Now I'm focusing on more the elegance and the preciseness of just making clean cut business videos for people to run as ads, go on their websites and things like that. So
okay, so you actually recorded my speech a few weeks ago.
I did, yes.
So I am actually going to be posting that, and thinking through the timing of these shows and when this one will drop, I actually might set it up so that drops the week before.
Okay.
So for any of you watching, I'll have a link to the previous week's episode. I hope I remember that. And you can see my first recorded public speech. I was pretty nervous, if I'm being honest. Most of the speaking events that I've done have not been recorded because they don't allow cameras or media and stuff like that. But I actually want to start transitioning more into paid public speaking engagements. So that's going to be a big push of mine this year. And I know you came out and recorded that one. I actually signed up. I might be doing a speech in Austin later this year. So you'll be getting a phone call, and we'll be working through all of that stuff, because I'm going to start working on a public speaking website and stuff like that. Nice. So a lot of fun stuff. Okay, so talk me through like the business stuff. When you say you're doing more business, you touched on real estate, which I have somebody that I'm going to connect you with. But what do you mean exactly by business shots?
So I guess that was not the best way to word it, but so when I'm shooting fitness, since I'm doing that every week, and so when it's a different feel, right? I'm looking at different things. The way that I compose my shots are differently. The way that I edit is differently. But let's say if I'm doing a project, or we're shooting an ad for some new necklaces that came in and rings that they want to showcase, well, I might not necessarily need a huge cinema rig for that. I might just only need a gimbal and my camera, some off-camera lights, and some good audio, and it just needs to look elegant, geared towards their intended target audience, more so to say. So it's just more elegant, clean cut. Nothing's really, if anybody's ever seen my work, it's always fast-paced, hard cuts, hard hits, a lot of sound effects. None of that is needed. It's very simple. It's a different feel, and I actually like it better because it allows me to kind of step outside of what I'm used to and to make more diverse work,
How much of your time is actually spent on, we'll say, post or the editing versus taking the shots and setting up the shots?
I would say production time. Obviously, you have pre-production, which is if we're going like I shoot like ads for different businesses, we'll have a pre-production, which is like a shot developing our shot list and things like that. But as far as production time, most of my shoots normally only range for about an hour to 2 hours max, and that's if we're shooting multiple things. The post-production takes the longest because, editing 1 30-second ad, or most ads aren't longer than 60 seconds, that could take me 35 minutes to an hour. If it's something that, like, once I get in the groove of things, I can knock these out really fast. But obviously there's revisions, and then you go back and make revisions. Obviously you got song selection and color grading, because I shoot everything in log format. So I would say most of my time can be spent from an average to an hour to 2 to 3 hours. It just depends on what I'm shooting.
Just as much, if not more, spent on the back end once the shots have taken place, getting it all touched up and cleaned up. And,
oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's something that, like, I admittedly wasn't even aware of. Danny Tarver, she did some shots for me about 2 years ago, which turned out beautiful. Took tons and tons of shots. And actually, so this is actually something that I would encourage everybody. Work with the photographer, work with the videographer, get some content. I don't even know, like, what's an average amount of money for, let's say, like a 1 hour shoot, just ballpark.
Ballpark?
Yeah.
I would say anywhere between 150 to 400.
Okay.
I have some.
So that's taking the shots and then you touching them up and then final product. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Well, is this for me or just general?
Well, in general.
Yeah, in general, because I have friends who are in the industry who are really high up, and I've seen pricing as low as 150 for a portrait shoot, which is kind of like average, and then for up to $400 just for an hour shoot. Obviously, they do amazing work, and that's them valuing themselves at that. But yeah, you can expect it within that range.
So this is something that I'm going to start encouraging more people to do, because quite frankly, that one shoot from Danny, which I don't even remember what the cost was, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter because I've used that content for 2 years now. So you can get one shot, spend a couple $100, get a whole lot of photography or photographs and video, and then you can use that content for years to come. So, it pays for itself in attention on the back end. And whenever I think about the importance of building our own personal brand, attention is key. We live in this digital world. Everything is off of this and social media, whether it's professional for LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, but content is king. And yes, you can be the introvert. You can build a career as an introvert, but it is much easier if you put yourself out there and people know what you're about, because you're
Right.
building your own brand and you're able to actually start building a reputation, and people start to trust you before they even know you, right? Tremendous amount of value in actually just paying the money. I know early on in my career, I was like, there's no way. Like, I got a cell phone. Of course, my little razor taking, a little bit different this day and
It's a
age.
different value placed behind it. And I think with a lot of business professionals, they're waking up and they're seeing that high quality is worth it. It speaks volumes. And then because we judge each other what we see online, and that's a big thing. So like you said, LinkedIn, I talk with a lot of business professionals that, I need headshots for LinkedIn or for Facebook business or to go on cards. And so it's just, everything is a digital age. And so how you're perceived is so important, which then drives our business to be more valuable, because we have something we can offer to businesses, entrepreneurs. I mean, just TV, everything is commercials, video. Somebody shot it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. So another thing that's also, I'll say, important and relevant, and that is just starting. You're going to suck at first. That's the reality. I leave all my episodes up so that people can go back and look, because I've had people come, actually, somebody came on the show recently. They're like, oh my God, your show, like, it's so incredible, which is humbling for me. I appreciate it. I still see things that I want to do better.
Right.
But my response is, you should see where I started, right? 3 years ago, it was much, much different. But you and I were talking about this earlier. Just start. The perfectionist in me I wanted the right mic. I wanted the right cameras. And ultimately I ended up just having a webcam on my computer, and I don't remember what mic I was using, but my first few episodes, that's all it was.
Yeah.
I had to just start. And everybody's so afraid of putting themselves out there and being vulnerable.
Oh yeah, I would say vulnerability.
Exactly. That's huge. That vulnerability actually helps people connect to you, because it's real, it's raw. And I have found that it actually inspires and motivates others to go do that thing that they've been scared to do. Just start.
Literally.
Yeah.
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 Super important.
And then one day you're going to wake up and be a professional like you.
Somewhat.
Okay, so talk to me. What is your future plans for your business look like? Obviously, heavy into videography and photography, and you kind of touched on getting more into the business realm of it. Kind of talk me through your vision over the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, most people go the route of like creating a media agency, and then you build a team, and then you take on these projects. And I think ultimately that's everybody's end goal. For me, it's just, I want to do something I love. Now it's just me. And now I'm starting to, I think naturally you fall into the areas you need to be. My end goal, to answer your question, point blank, I want to move into commercial cinematography. I want to be a DP, director of photography. I want to be that head lead on sets and work with crews, whether or not that's a crew that I brought on board with my own business, because I do have friends who are directors. I have friends who are DPs. I have friends who run sound and lights. I'm starting to meet all these people in the industry now, to where I have my own standalone business, but we've all come together and say, hey, I have a project coming up. Can you be like my BTS guy, or can you be my sound guy and I literally just had a message this morning where one of my buddies, who's an amazing photographer, we have two different styles, but he's so amazing. And we were going together on a project, me and a few other guys, and we had to push it back just to do something with the client. So for me, I'm just focused on really building my business just as in photo and video, and I outsource a lot of those extra roles that I need. And so, but the end goal is commercial cinematography, and to build a crew along myself underneath JT Visuals Media, and just go from there. It's a big feat.
It's a big feat, but now that you've thrown it out there, I'm going to hold you to it.
I'm working on it, man.
Yeah.
Not too much pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Well, I am looking forward to seeing all of that unfold. I was making some notes here because I'm going to be following up with you on that. No pressure. No pressure.
It's all good. I need it. It's accountability.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So what is one of the biggest things and lessons that you have learned in your journey? It doesn't have to be focused just on videography or photography or anything like that. Talk me through one of the biggest lessons you have learned in life that has shaped who you are.
Man, that's tough. I would probably just keep it simple and just say that keyword that rings in my mind is resilience. I learned you have to be resilient. Not everything is going to work out according to plan. We make these plans in our life, and we want it to go a certain way, and you very well may get to the end goal, but it's not going to be how you pictured it. You know, a lot of people don't know along my journey coming to this point now. People see me, they see the cameras, they see all my gear when I show up to sets, and they're like, man, I want to be like you. But in the grand scheme of things, like, I went through repossession of my car. I was evicted over a year and a half ago. I had to find a place, a new car, another job. And then that all led me into, you know what, I'm just going to go all in. I'm already here. I might as well just do it. And so I learned a lot of resilience through that, and just learning that when something happens, it's okay. Find another way, you know, replan, find another way. And I think that's what keeps me going. That's what, you know, I bring to my household too. My spouse sees me, that I don't let anything stop me, because I learned easily in the military and just being on the outside now. You got to be resilient. Not everything is going to go according to plan, and that's okay. But how can you reformulate and reattack the plan? A lot of people say, oh, that didn't work, so I'm going to give up. Like, don't change the goal, but let's look at the blueprint that we have in between on how we get to that goal. Maybe we just had some kinks in there and we didn't plan accordingly. So let's set some more smaller milestones in between, besides, hey, I want to be a cinematographer and shoot for Toyota. And then, like, we got to have some milestones in between on how we're going to get there. So resiliency, just being resilient and facing those trials, has taught me a lot over this time period.
I love it. Well, David, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have for the show today. I will make sure that we have all of LaDavid's contact info in the show notes. Please reach out to him for all of your content needs, videography, photography, all of that good stuff. Or, you know what, if you just want to have a great conversation with a good man, give him a call. Thank you.
Thank you.